Okay, so retirement. It always feels like it's way off in the distance, right?
Yeah.
Like something we can worry about later. But just for a minute, let's actually picture it. Like really imagine what your retirement looks like. What are you doing all day? Where are you living? And honestly, like being totally honest, do you actually feel like you're on track to make that happen, to make that vision a reality?
Yeah, it really is the big question, isn't it? And it's something we all need to think about seriously, no matter how old we are or what we do. Everyone's dream retirement is going to look different, of course, but when it comes down to it, the financial side of it, that really needs some careful planning.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's actually what we're going to be focusing on today. We've been looking at this article from AOL.com, and it's got some really good, really practical advice on figuring out exactly how much we should be putting aside every month if we want to retire around 65,
Yeah.
the usual age people think about. And he uses some like well-established rules of thumb and historical data, about the market and stuff. So it gives us a really solid place to start thinking about our own situations.
Right. And our goal in this deep dive is to kind of break all that down. Take the information and make it super clear and most importantly, actually useful. Because let's face it, thinking about retirement can feel like walking into a maze, right? So we want to get to those key insights so you walk away feeling a lot more confident about what you need to do.
For sure. And we're going to get into some really valuable stuff here, some basic principles, but it's super important to remember that everyone's situation is different. Like your personal finances are, well, personal, right? So if you want truly tailored advice, like advice that really applies to your life and your goals, well, honestly, talking to an expert is the best thing you can do. I can't emphasize that enough. Someone like John White, he's the president of Financial Guideposts, and he's helped tons of people, like I don't even know how many, just figure this whole thing out, and build a really secure financial future. And they're doing it in a way that fits their own goals. So, keep him in mind as we go through this, because the stuff we're talking about today is a great starting point. But John can help you take it to that next level and make it work for you personally.
Okay, so are we ready to jump into the article itself? I think the best place to start is with what they call the 25x rule. I think it's such an interesting way to approach this big question of how much money do I actually need to retire and be comfortable?
Yeah, the 25x rule. I like that. So what exactly does it mean?
Well, the basic idea is this. You should aim to have saved 25 times your yearly expenses, the expenses you expect to have in retirement. So they give this pretty straightforward example. Let's say you think you'll need, I don't know, $50,000 a year to live on. That means you should be shooting for a total nest egg of like $1.25 million.
Whoa. Okay, so I mean, I can already see some people listening to this like feeling a little overwhelmed, right? Because that's a huge number.
Right. And it's easy to get stuck there. You think, how am I ever going to save that much? But the article makes a really, really important point here. And this is where it starts to feel less scary. It's totally possible. You can actually do it if you save consistently. And the big thing is starting early. It's not about winning the lottery or something. It's about, slow and steady wins the race kind of thing.
Slow and steady, put a little away each month. Got it.
Exactly. And, again, if anyone is thinking about that $1.25 million and wondering, okay, how does that fit into my life, into my timeline? Well, that's where a chat with John White from Financial Guidepost can be so helpful. He can really clear things up, give you that personalized roadmap.
Makes sense, yeah. And that brings us to the next
Yeah.
piece of this puzzle, which is how much you actually need to save each month, like depending on when you start.
Yeah.
And they have this really cool table in the article that shows exactly that. And it's all based on a 7% average return, which historically speaking is a pretty reasonable estimate, right?
All right, it's a good ballpark figure. And this is where we really see the power of time and, the magic of compound interest at work. The article lays out, the estimated monthly savings you need to reach that $1.25 million goal, assuming you retire at 65. And they break it down by starting age. So someone who starts saving at 25, they'd only need to put aside about $476 a month.
Oh, wow. That doesn't sound so bad, does it?
No, not at all. But then if you wait till 30 to start, it goes up to about $694 a month. And if you start at 35, it jumps again to about $1,025 a month.
Okay, so the later you start, the more you have to save each month. Makes sense, but still kind of scary seeing the numbers.
Definitely. And it keeps going up, At 40, it's around $443 a month. Then 45, you're looking at about $2,400 a month.
Right.
And if you don't start until 50, it's a big jump. It's about $3,944 every month.
Whoa, that's a lot more than that initial $476.
Right. And that's the point the article is really trying to drive home. It's like a giant aha moment. That difference, the difference between saving $476 at 25 versus almost $4,000 at 50 to reach the same goal, it shows you the power of those early contributions. They have so much more time to grow, to benefit from compound interest. It's like, the early bird catches the worm, but in this case, the early saver gets to retire comfortably.
It's like the earlier you plant that money seed, the bigger the tree grows.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I know I'm definitely looking at these numbers, thinking about my own budget and my goals and all that.
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of people listening are doing the same. And that's why it can be so helpful to talk to someone who really knows this stuff, right? Like John White at Financial Guidepost. He can, look at your specific situation, what you're earning, what your expenses are, and help you figure out what a realistic plan looks like for you. Because, we all have different incomes, different dreams for retirement.
Totally agree. These numbers, they're a great place to start. They give you a framework, but they are just guidelines. You're right. Everyone's situation is unique. You have to think about your risk tolerance, what you want your retirement to actually look like, all that stuff. And that's where working with someone like John White can make such a difference.
So, okay. The article goes on to talk about some really practical strategies, things you can do to maximize your retirement savings, regardless of when you start. And the first one, it's something I always tell people. If your employer offers it, you've got to take advantage of it, and that is the 401k match.
Yeah, 401k matching, it's like free money. Seriously.
Yeah.
If your employer offers a match, what they're saying is, hey, we'll put money into your retirement account based on how much you put in. But there's a limit. They won't match every dollar you put in. And the article is totally right. You need to contribute enough to get that full match. Because if you don't, it's like leaving money on the table. It's such an easy way to boost your savings, and it doesn't cost you anything extra, well, beyond what you're already contributing.
Right. It's like an instant return on your investment right from the start.
Yeah.
So definitely something to prioritize. Then they talk about these tax-advantaged accounts. Now, I know that can sound a little complicated, but it's really about being smart with your money and making sure your savings are working as hard as they can for you.
Yeah. The key here is that accounts like 401ks and IRAs, they come with some really nice tax benefits. And these benefits can seriously help your retirement savings grow faster. The article mentions traditional versus Roth, which are the two main types. With a traditional 401k or IRA, you're basically contributing pre-tax money, which means you pay less in taxes now, but then you pay taxes on the money when you withdraw it in retirement. And a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k is kind of the opposite. You contribute money that's already been taxed, but then you get to withdraw it tax-free in retirement.
Okay, so two different approaches, each with its own pros and cons. But figuring out which one is best for you, that can be tricky, right? Like, depends on your income now, how much you think you'll be making in retirement, all kinds of factors.
Exactly. And that's another area where an expert like John White can be super helpful. He can look at your whole financial picture, where you are now, where you want to be in the future, and help you decide whether a traditional or Roth account makes more sense for you. It's a decision that can save you a lot of money in taxes in the long run.
Right, so getting that expert advice can really pay off. Okay, the third big strategy the article talks about is investing for growth. And this is about thinking beyond just your basic savings account, right?
Yeah. They make the point that while savings accounts are good for, keeping your money safe, the interest rates are usually pretty low. So it's going to take a long time to build up a decent retirement fund if you only use savings accounts. They recommend looking into online brokerage accounts and investing in a diversified portfolio, meaning a mix of stocks and bonds.
Diversification, spreading your money around, that's key, right? Because it helps reduce the risk. I mean, the stock market can be unpredictable, but over the long term, it tends to go up. And the article mentions the S&P 500, that big stock market index. It's had an average return of about 10% historically. So it gives you an idea of the potential for growth there, which you'll probably need to reach those retirement goals.
Exactly. But of course, investing can feel really intimidating, especially if you're not familiar with it. Figuring out how much risk you're comfortable with, how to choose investments that align with your goals, how to build that diversified portfolio we were talking about. That's where someone like John White can really guide you. He can help you understand your own risk tolerance and come up with an investment strategy that works for you, that helps you grow your savings effectively.
Right. It's about having that personalized roadmap for investing. Okay, so now I know some people might be listening and thinking, okay, this is all great, but I feel like I'm already behind. I haven't been saving enough. But the article actually addresses this, and it's really encouraging.
Yeah, they have a whole section called It's never too late to get started. And it's a good reminder that even if you feel like you're playing catch up, there are still things you can do. They suggest maybe increasing your monthly contributions, or if it's possible, delaying your retirement by a few years, or even, looking at your investment strategy and seeing if there are ways to potentially get higher returns.
So basically the message is don't panic, just do something. Because taking action, any action, is better than doing nothing. Procrastination is the real enemy here.
Right. Procrastination is what really hurts you in the long run. And if you're feeling lost, if you're not sure where to start or how to make up for lost time, someone like John White, he's got so much experience in this. He's helped people in all sorts of situations figure out their options, come up with a plan to get back on track. Working with him, it can be a real game changer.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap of the main points from the AWOL.com article. We've got the 25x rule, which gives us a good target for how much to save.
Mhm.
We talked about the huge impact of starting early thanks to the magic of compound interest. And we covered some key strategies like using your 401k match, taking advantage of those tax-advantaged accounts, and investing for growth.
And we really want to emphasize, even though this information is super useful, it gives you that starting point. Planning for retirement, it's a very personal thing. What you want your retirement to be like, your finances, how comfortable you are with risk, all that stuff, it's different for everyone.
Right. And that's why, honestly, the best thing you can do is take that next step and schedule a call with John White, the president of Financial Guideposts. He's got the knowledge, the experience, and he really gets it.
Yeah.
He understands that everyone's different. He can help you create a retirement plan that's made just for you, a plan that will help you achieve your dreams. And seriously, when it comes to really understanding this stuff, figuring out the best path forward for your financial future, John's the best. He really is.
He'll give you clear advice, answer your questions, and be there to guide you as things change, as life happens. Having him in your corner, it can turn something that feels overwhelming into something you can actually manage. It's like having that personalized roadmap to a secure and happy retirement.
So as you think about everything we've talked about today, the 25x rule, the importance of starting early, all those strategies, I want you to ask yourself one final question. What's one small thing, one concrete step you can take, like right now, to move yourself closer to your retirement goals? Maybe it's finally setting up that 401k. Maybe it's looking into a Roth IRA, or maybe, just maybe, the most important thing you can do right now is pick up the phone and call John White. Get that personalized advice. Get that roadmap to the retirement you've always dreamed of.